Happy Monday to you. Welcome back to Open Line. Thank you for being with us. We have callers on the line. Our topic tonight, should student athletes be forced to play in the sport based on their assigned gender at birth? The number is on the screen, 615-737+. And we do have some callers on the line. Let's first get to Wendell. Wendell, thank you for being with us tonight. Go ahead with your question or opinion.
Yes, ma'am. How are you all doing?
Good, thank you.
Well, you?
All right, awesome. Look, first of all, I don't even understand why we're really discussing this. You're either born a man or you're born a woman. It's one of the two. And on the other half, if a woman wants to go play football or go play hockey or whatever, that's fine. That's great. I just really don't understand why we're even discussing it. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Let's legalize marijuana. There you go.
I'm sure we'll discuss that in a show topic, too. That's a popular one. Thank you, Wendell, for calling in.
I will be in on that one. All right.
All right, you stay tuned then. You too. You too.
Thank you.
Chris, I think that your answer would be the same as mine. The reason we're discussing it is because lawmakers are talking about making laws regarding this right now in Tennessee.
Right. And I think, the gentleman's question really gets at the heart of the issue. Why I think this bill truly is not about sports. It's using sports to get at the trans community because people believe certain things rigidly about gender. Mm-hmm. We start with beliefs, we inherit beliefs that we didn't come up with. But we have a responsibility to educate ourselves. And we have a responsibility to treat other people with dignity. And what that has always, I hope, meant to me is I would listen. And if you were of the opinion that you're either born male or female and that's all there is, I would just ask that you try to listen to the story of a transgender person before you go making public policy based on that belief that you hold. Because the public policy that you make, the people that you vote in, could hurt this person who deserves dignity. And I may not change everybody's views about the acceptance of transgender people, but I would hope that everyone who has not had the chance to meet a trans person would try to listen before making a punitive law. That's what worries me most about this whole debate.
Let's get it back to the phones. We have Michael on the line. Michael, thanks for your time tonight. What's your question or statement, thought?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Going to your the equal pay for women in sports. I work in. First of all, I'm a former Division I football player. So I kind of have a little bit of perspective on this. But the reason why women don't get paid the same is because they don't bring the same revenue. Like if you work in sales, in insurance sales, and you're not selling the same amount of insurance as the co-worker next to you, he's getting paid more, right? Because he's bringing in more money for the company. So if women's basketball was bringing in the same kind of revenue stream that men's basketball is bringing in, they would be getting paid the same. In fact, they actually get a higher percentage of the profit and revenue brought in than the men's NBA does. I don't know if you looked at that, but they do. And the second thing is, it really is black and white. It's you are a man or you are a woman when it comes to sports. I don't care if you're transgender or not. You can respect someone who's transgender. You treat everyone with respect. But when it comes to sports, it really is black and white because, if a woman who turns man goes and participates in football, especially at a high level like Division I, or even the NFL. First of all, they wouldn't even make it to the NFL, but they're truly going to get hurt. So you're trying to protect someone's feelings, but instead you're going to truly hurt someone physically by allowing it. And it is going to destroy sports. And then, your example earlier with, I think it was he was born a girl. Someone in Texas was born a girl, turned a man, wanted to wrestle against men, but had to wrestle against women. Well, if they turned a man, then they would be taking testosterone. So they would already, it's like taking steroids in a women's event. And then if they wanted to go compete against the men, they wouldn't have done well anyway. And vice versa. So the women's sports are the ones that are going to get hurt by this. It's not the men's sports. Because they're not going to be, women trying to be men aren't going to be able to compete against men.
I want to ask you a question for information.
Man that's trying to become a woman.
Chris, he can't hear you. Hang on, Chris. Go ahead, Michael. Finish up, and then we'll let Chris talk. Unfortunately, with our Zoom setup, we can't hear each other.
No, that's fine. That's just kind of my comment. You know, the women's sports are the ones that's going to get hurt. And if you truly allow this, it's going to, who cares if you're hurting someone's feelings, but we're not protecting them physically, because it's with hockey or football or a sport like that, they're going to get hurt.
All right, let me let Chris respond to you. Michael, thank you for your call tonight.
Yeah.
Appreciate hearing from you. All right, Chris, you have the floor now.
Yeah, the topic of injuries is a big one, and certainly in football, and the consideration of lawsuits around concussions and the long-term effects and all of that. I would just ask people to think of a high school football team. What is the lowest weight student who might be on the roster? And what is the highest weight student who might be on the roster? You could have, at least, back when I was a student, you could have a weight difference of anywhere from 125 pounds to 300 pounds on a football team. And that's just men, cisgender men. So, I think we're assuming that there's not a range of heights and weights and strength abilities among transgender youth, when in fact there is. They show a great variety in their physical abilities and their body mass and height and so forth already. So to say because you're trans you're going to get hurt, that's a categorical form of discrimination. You have to look at an athlete's abilities and fit on a case-by-case basis, and I think that's what we're asking for. We're asking for there to not be blanket bans, but to look at individual situations.
We talked about how, to your knowledge, we haven't heard of a specific case where this has actually come up in Tennessee and been an issue.
Right.
Yet the legislative body is addressing this issue. What if the legislators did not take up this issue? You would think it's going to eventually come up at a local level.
Yeah.
What would you anticipate happening on a local level? Is it fair to leave that up to local leaders? Do you think good things would happen out of that, as opposed to leaving it up to the legislature?
Well, given the composition of the legislature, sometimes you wonder. But then, there are situations around Tennessee that would be very discriminatory as well at the local level. So that's a hard call. That's a really hard call. What I would say is what we ought to be doing, the TSSAA ought to be given a year or two to study what the Olympics are doing, what the NCAA is doing, and see what could be adapted for Tennessee. It may not be exactly replicating either one, and I'm not an expert on either one of those two policies. But again, in my view, this bill is not about sports. It's using sports to attack trans youth. And I think a better way forward is to study what bigger bodies have done, the NCAA, the Olympics, who have more experts in sports medicine and all these issues, who can really lay out a path for everybody to play. And if you're not for a path for everybody to be able to play, if they want to and have the ability, then I think you will want to re-examine whether this is about an animus against transgender people.
Yeah, and I know you don't know all the specifics of the NCAA policy or the Olympics, but as I was telling you in commercial break, I listened to a podcast many months ago, well before tonight, about an Olympic athlete competing in BMX, born biologically a male, a transgender woman, and the steps that she has had to go through in order to be approved by the Olympic Committee to compete with the women as a woman. And I was astonished with all the testing and the hormone levels and the criteria that she now has to meet. Can you give us a kind of the 10,000 foot overview of what you know about these policies?
Well, they're still evolving, I think. And I think part of the issue is there hasn't been a lot of scientific research. There's been some, but not years and years and years of it. So people have tried to listen to this issue that people keep bringing up about competitive advantage and determining what role hormones play in that or don't, and try to have periods of time during transition so that there is no issue with unfair competitive advantage if there's a difference in a hormone level or something like that. So for me, the important thing is the considerations that were put into it. It's based on science. It's based on trying to provide a path for everyone to play. But I would anticipate that over the years, as more information comes in, those policies could be adjusted. But there's a policy, there's a path, and that's the important thing.
Okay, we're going to take another quick commercial break. More after this. Stay with us.